Although ants are tiny insects, they can be very harmful to plant life. This enormous jungle tree is powerless against a colony of ants. Little light penetrates the thick foliage during the day. An extraordinary sight unfolds in the Peruvian jungle floor. A long procession of leafcutter ants transports leaves to their nest. Large worker ants use their powerful razor-sharp jaws to cut a section of a leaf with unmatched precision. A ravenous colony of ants can consume more leaves than a group of elephants. This tree will be completely defoliated in just a few days. The worker ants carry leaves that are several times larger than themselves to their nest. Some ant processions can reach several hundreds of meters. But what makes these ants special is the fact that they are the first creatures on Earth that grew their own food. Smaller ants in the colony are tasked with growing fungus. They take the leaves harvested by the larger worker ants and break them down into smaller pieces, which are added to the fungus garden. The fungus cultivated by the ants is rich in protein and fed to the larvae. This is how leafcutter ant colonies have lived for over 50 million years. Every year, 1/5 of all newly grown leaves in the rainforest will be harvested by leafcutter ants. But is that how the story always ends for trees? Plants and trees use intelligent and sometimes cruel tactics to repel their enemies. In a rainforest in Borneo, there lives an impressive insect-eating plant. It's a pitcher plant called Nepenthes. Most plant species draw nutrients from the soil and use energy from sunlight for photosynthesis. But when the soil environment lacks enough minerals to sustain plant life, some plants will devise new ways to collect energy, like this pitcher plant which preys on insects. The bud of Nepenthes grows into a tube-shaped pitcher cup. As the plant grows, it develops stripe patterns and reveals an opening with a lid. It takes 15 days to a month for the pitcher cup to fully develop. The lid prevents rain from seeping into the pitcher. Insects are lured with sweet nectar that lies at the ribs of the peristome. A lone ant is attracted to the eye-catching colors and scent given off by the carnivorous plant. Sweet nectar and nutrients on the plant's lip entices the ant. It will lead the ant to the death trap below. The curved lip is slippery. Once an insect falls into the pitcher, it is impossible to crawl out of it because the walls are slippery too. In the course of several days, the plant will use digestive agents to absorb the nutrients from the ant. Only the ant's exoskeleton will remain. Carnivorous plants use ingenious ways to hunt insects for food. The bladderwort, an aquatic plant, has the quickest reflexes in the world. It drifts in the water instead of staying in one place. Since there are fewer nutrients in water than in soil, the bladderwort must forage for nutrients. Small bladder-shaped traps on the branches catch insects. Instead of using roots to absorb nutrients, the bladderwort relies on these traps. It mainly catches mosquito larvae and water fleas. When a mosquito larva approaches, it is sucked into the bladder. Everything happens in a split second. On closer inspection, the trap has trigger hairs. When an insect brushes against a trigger hair, the trap sucks it in and then closes. Once caught inside, the larva dies from suffocation. A high-speed camera is used to capture the plant's astonishing reaction speed. The larva approaches. The trap sucks in water along with the larva. And the door closes in a split second. Since when did plants develop such ingenious strategies? $4.5 billion years ago, there was no life on planet Earth. Greenhouse gases filled the atmosphere, and the ocean was too hot and salty to support life. A billion years later, something miraculous happened. The first life form emerged in Earth's sea. On the west coast of Australia. Made from microorganisms, these stromatolites were formed 3.5 billion years ago. They produced oxygen through continuous photosynthesis. Tiny microorganisms went on to evolve into moss, which developed into plants. During the Silurian period of the Paleozoic era 400 million years ago, the first plant that grew on land was the Cooksonia. This primitive plant had a split stalk with a spore structure on each branch. It could only survive near water because it needed constant moisture. It also needed water to multiply. So how did the early ancestors of land plants look like? On the southern coast of Jeju Island, the skeleton fork fern is likely to have been the first vascular plant on Earth. This fern plant lacks roots and leaves. Its Y-shaped branches indicate that it's a primitive plant. Without any leaves, it relies on its stalk to collect sunlight for photosynthesis. However, this is not efficient. The fern spores are used to seed new plants. When the spores inside the sporocyst mature, it will be swept away by the wind. Once it lands on moist ground, it will take root and grow. The first land plants had inherent disadvantages, which they overcame through ingenious survival techniques. The earliest known tree in the world is Archaeopteris, which appeared 370 million years ago. It had a stout trunk and long branches. Having feather-like shaped fronds, the tree was named Archaeopteris. Archaeopteris grew as tall as 8 meters and bore a resemblance to modern conifers. This primitive tree formed the earliest forest as it became the dominant species in Earth's vegetation. Diamond-shaped patterns are pronounced in this petrified lepidodendron. Lepidodendron first appeared on Earth 300 million years ago. They grew as tall as a 10-story building. Their towering height and cluster of large leaves enabled them to have robust photosynthesis. They proliferated in wetlands. The Earth's atmosphere had higher oxygen concentration levels during the Carboniferous period, when giant insects were abundant. Meganura, the largest flying insect ever known, had a wingspan that exceeded 70 centimeters. As plants became more numerous, Earth's ecosystem teemed with life. In a rainforest in Costa Rica, Daniel Jansen, a world-renowned expert in the rainforest, is a biology professor at the University of Pennsylvania. He has dedicated his life to studying plants and insects in tropical climates.
And you can see there's one stinging me there, trying to.
Among his research work, he studies the symbiotic relationship between the bullhorn acacia and ants. This acacia tree features horn-like thorns in which ants make their home. The ants feed on the nectar secreted from the acacia branches. No matter how much nectar they eat, the supply seems to be endless. But the tree is not providing this for free. The nectar is exchanged for the ant services. Brown protein lipid nodules on the leaves also provide nourishment for the ants. With plenty of food to eat, the pseudomyrmex ants do not need to prey on other insects. And the ants dwell in the recesses of the hollowed-out thorns. The swollen thorns provide a safe home for the ants, where they can lay eggs. In return for all of this, the ants fulfill an important role. They aggressively defend the tree from acacia leaf-eating insects. This ladybug is under attack from the rushing ants. Many herbivores and insects like eating the acacia's tender leaves and sweet nectar. So the ants defend the tree from harmful insects in exchange for food and shelter.
The tree has changed, evolved, and the ants have changed, evolved. They've changed from being hunters to being policemen. And all they do is protect the tree. She lives about 15 to 20 years. And when she dies, the colony dies. And when the colony dies, the tree dies.
Without the ants, the acacia tree would be unable to survive. So, it has evolved to accommodate the ants to ensure its survival. But a peaceful symbiotic relationship is not always pursued by plants. Some plants survive by relying on their killer instincts. In a thick jungle, plants must compete for sunlight by growing as tall as possible because little light reaches below the canopy. This enormous tropical fig tree is called the strangler fig. Its branches weave around the trunk of a tree. A strangler fig latches onto a host tree. While most trees scatter their seeds on the ground, the strangler fig grows in a different place. A fig seed will grow when it is dropped on top of a tree. It will envelop the tree and suck its nutrients. Meanwhile, it will grow its roots downward and strangle the tree to death. Within 5 years, the strangler fig's roots will reach the ground and take away water from the host. The support tree will eventually die, leaving behind a columnar tree with a hollow core. After killing the host, the fig will grow upwards towards the sunlight. It will live on for several hundreds of years, claiming its territory. Many insects and birds eat the fruit and seeds of trees for food. The red crossbill is no exception. The bird pecks a pine cone to get to the seeds and eat them. This sight is fairly common in nature, but it's a scene that embodies a vital shift in the history of plant life: the appearance of seeds. The ginkgo is called a living fossil. They existed during the Jurassic period when dinosaurs flourished. A ginkgo is a gymnosperm that relies on pollination between pollen cones and ovulate cones. Pollination is the process in which plants reproduce and bear seeds. The motile sperm or pollen has to fertilize the egg and the ovule of the ginkgo. Firmly rooted to the ground, ginkgos stand immobile. So the ginkgo must rely on the wind to carry its pollen to another ginkgo tree. Carried aloft by the wind, ginkgo pollen fertilizes an egg. When the pollination is successful, the tree will produce seeds. Although they are technically seeds, people commonly call them fruit. Using seeds to reproduce its species, ginkgo trees spread far and wide. After eating the fruit, dinosaurs and small mammals spread the seeds in their droppings. Save for one species, all ginkgos were suddenly wiped out in the Cenozoic era, 65 million years ago. Around the time ginkgo trees vanished, a new plant species evolved. They were flowering plants. Magnolias grow flower petals before they grow leaves and retain the characteristics of primitive flowering plants. Having both the stamen and genesium in a single flower allowed the plant to reproduce more efficiently. Archaeplastida is the earliest known flowering plant. This fossil is dated at 125 million years old. It looks starkly different from modern plants. Having no sepals or petals, Archaeplastida has been revealed as coming from the angiosperm family. Although it was an aquatic plant, it was able to bloom above water where insects and the wind would carry its pollen. The beautiful colors and enchanting floral scent of flowers are tools to ensure the survival of its species. An amazing flower grows deep in the Borneo rainforest. It is the Rafflesia, the world's largest single flower. It is unmistakably a flowering plant with its oversized petals. The flower has a 1 meter diameter and weighs as much as 10 kilograms. It takes a week for it to fully extend its petals. Rafflesia does not have any stems or leaves. It is a parasitic plant that absorbs nutrients from vines. When the flower blooms for 3 to 7 days, it must be pollinated during this short window of time. Giving off a smell like rotten flesh, Rafflesia is called the corpse flower. It attracts flies with this scent. The flies will pollinate the flower as it moves from one Rafflesia to another. Without the help of flies, the world's largest flower could not exist. Plants cannot move once they take root in the soil. However, they are able to spread their seeds for a considerable distance. This is made possible by their blooming flowers. Flowering plants attract insects with their bright colors and honey. This honeybee will fly away with more than honey. It will also transport pollen to other flowers. Flowers have developed nectar guides to help insects find the honey. insects can detect ultraviolet rays that are invisible to the human eye. After using a filter that only passes ultraviolet rays, hidden patterns appear on the flower. The petals reflect ultraviolet rays, making them brighter, whereas the center of the flower absorbs the rays, giving them a dark color. Let's take a look at this lily. A pattern of long lines lead to the flower's center. Similar patterns are revealed in this flower as well. The lines show the insects where the honey is located. "40% of a sample of 200 flowers shot under a filter revealed these patterns. And experts have found that honeybees will stay within the black area. The flower strategy is tailored to pollinating insects. Flowers also use camouflage to attract insects like this mountain hydrangea. The larger florets are sterile, but have a showy appearance. They trick insects and butterflies into approaching. In the center of the cluster lie the smaller fertile florets. Without this camouflage tactic, the mountain hydrangea would not be able to reproduce. The harsh winter cold has arrived. Though there are no signs of any flowers, the plants are not dead. They are in hibernation. In early spring, the Chinese twin leaf blooms after its stem grows upwards. It grows flower petals before its leaves. This type of Chinese twin leaf blooms once it matures in 3 years. It does not reproduce in large numbers. It possesses an outsized flower in relation to its small stem. This is necessary to attract bees and butterflies. As a monocarpic flower, the Chinese twin leaf will die after it's pollinated and produces seeds. The flower bud is teeming with seeds. In June or July, the seeds will be ready to scatter. The Chinese twin leaf relies on ants to spread its seeds. The white substance on the surface of the Chinese twin leaf seed is called a leiosome. Giving off a sweet scent to attract ants, it is rich in lipids and proteins. When an ant is carrying a Chinese twin leaf seed, it clambers around in a zigzag pattern. Since the white substance cannot be separated from the seed, the ants carry the whole seed to their nest. After the ants eat the leiosome, they will discard the seed, and the seed will grow in its new surroundings. In tropical regions, you can find the world's only tree species that is viviparous. It is a mangrove. Mangrove seeds hang from the tree branches. Living in coastal habitats which are harsh on plant life due to the high salinity levels, mangroves have evolved to ensure that their offspring survive. When the tree produces a seed, it doesn't scatter it. A mangrove seed will germinate while attached to the parent tree for a long period. They will hang from the branch until they form a propagule, or seedling. When the seedlings fall to the ground, they will stick out upright, and they will take root instead of being carried off by the river. Living in coastal regions where fresh water and salt water meet, mangrove trees have developed ways to increase their survival. In tropical forests, some flowers depend more on birds rather than insects to be pollinated. Birds are also pollinators. The hummingbird is very industrious. They only inhabit America and have co-evolved with flowering plants. About the size of an adult's thumb, the hummingbird can flap its wings as many as 80 times per second. It hovers in midair to drink nectar. It must hover because there is no place for it to perch on. Due to their high metabolism, hummingbirds must constantly drink nectar to survive. Heliconia flowers feature bright colors and over 200 types exist in nature. They are mainly pollinated by hummingbirds, but specific Heliconia species have specific hummingbirds to pollinate them. This long curved bill is well suited for reaching the nectar inside the flower. The hummingbird's bill is a perfect fit with a Heliconia flower. Without hummingbirds, some Heliconia species cannot produce seeds. When a hummingbird drinks the nectar, pollen will attach to its beak to be spread to other flowers. Heliconia and hummingbirds have evolved together to be perfectly compatible. Plants are intelligent in how they adapt to their environment. Like a living creature, this ivy climbs a tree. Its aerial roots look like human hands. But as the ivy climbs, it searches for sunlight and moisture. It does not blindly climb up a tree in a straight line. An ivy has a unique structure that makes it well adapted for tree climbing. The secret lies in its aerial roots. The aerial roots are about 3 millimeters in length, and each one has several suction cups. It uses these to affix itself to the tree bark. It also secretes a substance that has the adhesive power of solid concrete. Thus, the stem of an ivy can support 2 million times its weight while attached to a wall. Using this intelligent strategy, an ivy can move where it wants and grow its stems according to the height of a tree or wall. A plant's rapid movement is as complex as the reaction of living creatures' nervous systems. Shaped like a clamshell, the leaves of a flytrap have an array of sensitive hairs. Once an insect touches a hair, the leaves will close in less than a second. Resistance is futile. Once it catches a prey, the flytrap will never let go, no matter how hard the insect tries to free itself. The trap will seal itself and form a stomach where enzymes are secreted by the plant. The insect will be digested within 2 weeks. There is a way to override the flytrap's mechanism. The leaves will close only when a second hair is contacted within 30 seconds from which the first contact was made. When no prey is caught in its trap, it will open its leaves a few hours later. A trap that has been used 3 to 4 times to catch and digest an insect will wither. Even small frogs can be digested by the flytrap. It is a cruel way to kill prey, but it's vital for their survival. These crafty and intelligent survival tactics have allowed plants to spread throughout nature, and nature reaps benefits from plant diversity. At the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute in Panama, Dr. Edward Allen Hurry conducts research on figs. Fig trees are called the tree of life in these parts. They bear fruit all year round, providing nourishment to all kinds of animals. Figs have entered a mutual relationship with wasps, but only a specific species of wasp can fertilize a specific fig.
I'll show you right here.
Just a millimeter in length, the fig wasp will lay eggs inside the fig fruit.
The wasp would crawl inside one of these things. The scientific name is syconium.
Enclosed in the structure, the fig fruit provides adequate protection to the wasp eggs. The eggs hatch inside the fruit, and usually the male wasps will hatch first. The wingless male has a sperm pouch at the end of its body. As soon as the male hatches, it will search for the eggs of a female in order to mate. The male can fertilize the female before it even hatches. After finding an egg containing a female, the male will penetrate it and mate with it. Once the female wasp hatches, it has a dual mission. First, it must repay the fig tree for providing it with food and shelter by pollinating it, and at the same time, lay eggs to reproduce. The winged female will scrape pollen together and attach it to its body. Now it is ready to leave the fig. Like its ancestors, the wasp will carry out its duty as it has done for millions of years. The female will pollinate another fig tree. This is the coevolutional relationship between the fig wasp and figs. It depends on the female to follow through with pollination. After the female lays its eggs, it will die and the fig will consume its corpse. These two species have evolved beautifully together for a long period of time.
This is coevolution in the sense that for over 90 million years, 80 million years at least, figs have used wasps to pollinate them and wasps have used figs to reproduce. And the characteristics of each one have become very finely tuned to allow the other one to exploit the system.
The fig fruit was made possible through cooperation between the fig and wasp. Through sacrifices and dedication, trees have provided food to creatures, supporting force throughout the ages. Many animals on Earth depend on plant life to live. Evolving and overcoming challenges posed by harsh habitats, plants have supported most life on Earth.
But if plants had not moved out of water onto the land, we wouldn't have any terrestrial ecosystems today. Plants are absolutely fundamental. They are the energetic foundation on which all of our terrestrial ecosystems are built. Without plants, there would have been no insects. Without plants, there would have been no land vertebrates. Without land vertebrates, there would have been no us.
Do you still believe that smart humans are using plants? Maybe it is the other way around, where plants are using humans to propagate their species through human farming. Life on Earth flourishes through such mutual relationships. This is the eternal cycle of life. Thus, animals and humans might be the supporting cast on a platform supported by plants. Hidden in plain sight, plants are the true rulers of the planet.